everyone, this is Jackie. I'm bringing you my Puerto Rican empanadas. Empanadas have been made in my families going back generations and generations. Basically, an empanada is a stuffed turnover, and it's made in various different countries, including South American, Latin American, and the Caribbean. Different countries have different names for empanadas. In Puerto Rico, we call them pastelillos. In other countries, they're called patties. And even in India, they have a version of it called samosas. You can make an empanadas with just about anything: chicken, turkey, shrimp, sausage, beef, steak. I've even seen a version of Thanksgiving made with stuffing, turkey, cranberries, and gravy. You can even make a dessert version of empanadas, just about anything, including the kitchen sink. First thing you have to do is get your Goya olives, and then you slice them up to small little pieces so that they fit nicely in the empanadas. The next step is the most important step, which is the sofrita and the recaito. Now, normally I would use my own homemade recipes. It's very important for all Latin cuisine to have this as their base. Without it, you cannot cook Latin food. So I have my own sofrita recipe, which I included. However, for today's demonstration, I use store-bought Goya products. Not the best, but it's what I had in hand. The next step is the sofrito con culantro y achote, cumin, and all-purpose adobo. These are also bases for Latin cooking. The culantro and the achote gives it that orangey color. The cumin gives it that Latin flavor, and the adobo is just an all-purpose seasoning. Another important ingredient in Latin cooking is garlic. You can use 1, 2, or 3 cloves of garlic depending on your preference. I happen to like a lot of garlic, so I use 3. The next ingredient I use is tomato sauce. There are so many different varieties of tomato sauce that you can use. I use the good old-fashioned plain tomato sauce, but you can use one of your preference. I normally don't use potatoes in my recipe, but if I wanted to go traditional Puerto Rican style, I would add the potatoes, and this time I chose to do so. Make sure that your potatoes are sliced and diced very small so that they cook very easily. I don't think anyone could cook without very important ingredient, salt and pepper. I cheated with this part of the recipe too. I bought store-bought made flour discs instead of making my own. The store-bought flour discs are just so much easier. There's 2 different styles that you can get. One that's colored in a yellow color and one that's plain in a more white color. Either one tastes pretty much the same. It's just a color preference on your part. I sometimes buy the bigger disc when I want to feed a big family, but if I'm throwing a party, I might go on the smaller side with the smaller disc. It's really your preference. Now that you've assembled everything in the order in which you'll be using it, we can start cooking. Now you set your frying pan to a medium to low heat with some olive oil. You put in your sofrito and your tomato sauce. Let that cook so that it's fragrant. And then you can put in your garlic. And then after that, you put in your ground beef. I use 85 to 15% of fat, or you can use 90 to 10 or anything to that liking. You cook that in the sofrito and let it simmer and cook for a while. And then you start adding all your ingredients: your salt, your pepper, your cumin, your olives, and your potatoes. You cover your pan and you allow that to cook until your potatoes and your meat are well cooked. After your meat and potato filling is cooked, you set that to the side and get ready to heat up the oil so that you can create and assemble your empanadas. With your meat and potato filling on the side, you get your pan ready with canola oil halfway full so that you can start assembling your empanadas. Using a little flour so that your flour discs do not stick to the plate, you start assembling your empanadas to get ready to fill. You take your meat filling, you put them in the empanadas one by one. You bring the meat filling closer to one edge of the empanada so that you can flip over the side, and using your fork, you start making the enclosure. You use the fork to crimp the edges so that the empanada doesn't open up. And you do that to both sides. Now you might need a little bit of water on your fork to help seal the closure. Using a spatula, you gently place the empanada into the super hot oil, making sure that it doesn't splash on you and making sure you don't open up the empanada. This is no time to walk away. Your empanadas gets done very quickly, between 3 and 5 minutes. The filling is already cooked. All you're waiting on is for the flour outside to be cooked. So keep an eye on your empanadas. Have a paper-covered dish ready so when you take out your empanadas, it soaks up all the excess oils. And voila! You have a plate full of empanadas in no time, ready to eat. Yummy, delicious. Look how delicious that looks. Now the best thing about empanadas is that you can freeze them and eat them up later as a great, delicious mid-afternoon or late night snack. Yummy. My favorite way to eat empanadas is hot right out of the pan, wrapped up in a small piece of tissue. Delicious.